down in the dyno. I'm going to see if I can solve this misfire, because obviously it's making the wideband read richer than it really is because of the unburnt fuel. So I'm going to rip all the plugs out. I'm going to do a full compression test on the whole engine at the same time. So I'll get the jump pack on charge. And then I'll run it, and I'll probably pull each injector and see which cylinders down, because we really need to solve that downed cylinder before you can tune it. Otherwise all the fueling figures are going to be skewed quite a lot. In fact, there's just no point tuning whatsoever. So we'll do that and we'll see what happens. So that's the back of the plugs there, but I don't think that anyone can stand there and say that which cylinder's got a miss. Reading plugs at idle is basically useless most of the time. Normally it's done at wide open throttle at, like, you know, whatever RPM you want to, say 6,000. You shut it off and then you read the plugs to see if you're in the right heat range, see how the cylinders are running. You can look at stuff and take information from that. But this could be old carbon deposits from when it was running rich initially. I mean, it hasn't really, it's got warm, but it hasn't really been, hasn't had a chance to clean off the plugs from the previous time. I'll flip them over and you can see them. Right, and there they are from the front side. There is no way to tell how that engine is really running, apart from to say that at one point it was running rich, whether that's now or previous. Because it hasn't been really run flat out to burn off any carbon deposits, it's just impossible to tell. So we'll do the compression tests as they're apart. I may also rip out the injectors because obviously I can test them. I'll clean each plug up, I'll test each plug because I can fire on the ECU, you can fire individual coils, so I'll just test them all in number 2 coil or something. Make sure that they're all arcing correctly, but that's about as far as that goes. So this will be cylinder number 1, and the others were around 150, so, or just under, I think maybe 145 to 150, somewhere in that region. So I'm hoping to see that here. I can't see it, so you just tell me when it's reached its peak. So that's 11 bar, or just under 11 bar. Alright, so I don't know how much actually saw of that really, but everyone is between 10 and 11 bar, most being 10.5. This gauge actually seems to go down slightly over time, so that's always super handy. So I just emptied the rails and that is what came out. I'm not kidding, this was a clean tray. That is literally what has come out. All those big chunks, everything just came out the rails. So, I mean, the filter didn't catch any, well, it was probably already in the system, but that is literally what was in there. And I flushed the entire, after you build the system, obviously when you use nail lines you get a lot of crap, and I flushed the entire system before it even got to any injectors. So I flushed right up to this adapter fitting, so it either didn't flush out then or was just in the lines anyway. But that's pretty incredible. So definitely need to flush out the rail itself. Let's make sure that's there. Let's see what we get out. And the injector. much in there. Obviously on these injectors, I think they're four orifice. So let's see if we can get a decent, yeah, they're 4-port orifice. But the filter buckets in the end, they all need replacing. And obviously the entire fuel rail also needs to be flushed. So we'll rip each one of these injectors out. We'll actually service them completely, and then we'll flush the rail out as best as possible. So I'm going to strip and number each injector now, and then they'll go back in the correct places and all sorts. That left a seal in there, but we'll leave that one. So let's put it the way it should be, which would be this way, and then this is number 1, and let's just check, is that the one with the sealing? So no, that's number 1, that's number 2. So they'll be matched to cylinders, not firing order or anything like that. And then we always know that that injector goes in that hole. Double check again. Yeah, so that injector is for this hole, so we'll mark this number 1. And I just, with all the injectors I do and clean, I always just put a little dot. There we go. Just one little dot for number 1. Job done. What amazes me though, is that generally speaking, I only see injectors when the engine's broken. So people love to bring them in after the fact. Now, if I hadn't have checked that, potentially I could have tuned round that misfire, or I could have been searching for something for a long time, and then people will just clean their injectors themselves. And obviously if you've seen any injector videos that I do, you'll know it's not something you can do at home. You need to pulse the injector in an ultrasonic bath. So not just put it in an ultrasonic bath, but pulse the injector inside an ultrasonic bath. And the frequency of the pulse really makes a difference, and it's selectable. So I can select different frequencies, like, you know, duty cycles, depending on the type of injector, to try and get the injector to feed backwards through the top. And you'll see it in the videos. A lot of the time the injectors will feed back through the top, so the ultrasonic vibration plus the injector pulsing will actually slowly siphon fluid from the bottom all the way to the top and then out. So we'll get all these numbered and then get them over into the cleaner. Right, so all the injectors laid out, 1 this side, 8 this side. Before, I need to grab the seals out of the rail. Before I strip them down, I'm actually going to run them in the machine. None of them look excessively blocked, and obviously because I've pulled them out and all the fuel's come out with the dirt in it, but the dirt would have been forced down into these that came out in that rail. So I'll just go and grab the other seals. Yeah, I'll rip them out the rail now. So I ripped them off, and you can see that most of them broke, and they're really perished. Some of them are much better than others, but a lot of them are really perished. So they could have been bypassing air anyway. I mean, look, I don't know, let's see if I can get it focused. That's pretty gone. Hopefully you can see that, but number 2 and number 3, I've run it again, have got like a more of a straight jet of fuel. Whether it'll improve or not, and to be fair, it's not really going to make too much of a difference for our issue. Hopefully you can see that. That was with the pressure turned up to 4 bar, which is what they're actually set at. So we'll just do the automatic test. Some of them looked a bit crazy on the camera, but they're actually all right. Everything looked pretty good there. We'll just do a quick leak down test. So none of them are leaking. That was just a drip from residue fuel. And we'll just do the flow rates. Oh, we'll pulse it like that first. Right, so this is actually at 3 bar, as I test all my injectors at 3 bar, but they are running 4 bar in the car, so we'll see. So. Look, pretty good actually, really not unimpressive at all. So 60, 60, 61, 60.5, 60.5, 61, and let's say 60 and 58. So pretty impressive, nothing too wrong. So I'd imagine any material that was in the rail that was being pushed into the ejector has pretty much come out now. We'll replace all the filters regardless to get rid of any contaminants. I will clean them because they're out, and it's just part of, you know, there's no point just changing the filters. I might as well change all the filters, all the seals, give them a proper clean. So we'll do that now. Right, I've just pulled one of these out. Can't remember which one it was. Is it that one? Just chop the filter in half, so we can see that that is a lot of material stuck in the bottom of that filter. Oh yeah, baby. And that's just one filter. That's all individual tiny little bits of. Pretty savage. But I see a lot of injectors, especially old Porsche injectors and stuff, where the rails are starting to rot. See quite a lot of corrosion. Obviously there's enough of a filter there that they'll still idle and things like that, pretty much okay. The amount of crap that is in this rail though, I am hoping that this will be the problem, but I'm still going to check the plugs individually, and we'll go from there. So I'll just get these in the ultrasonic bath while we're doing the spark plug check. You'll be able to hear the injectors in the background, but I'm just going to start testing the plugs. So I'll just show you quickly on the Link software, PC Link. You just press escape, brings up the ECU settings, and you can go into ignition, ignition setup, ignition test, and then it will bring up each individual one. We're running number 2, and we'll turn that on, and you may even be able to hear it. We'll just go out and we'll test, and you can just kind of see it firing. You can see actually that the plug isn't that great. It keeps trying to fire off the body in places. Needs to be a little bit better now. But we'll go around and we'll test each plug like that, just making sure it's working. But it's a nice little test feature. Obviously, some of the sort of piggybacky ECUs and like Honda and things like that, they don't really have all this stuff. I'll just turn that back off so I don't fry my hands, and we'll go through and test the rest. Alright, so injectors are back in. all clean, new filters, rail's been cleaned out and dried out. Plugs all work, plugs are back in, leads are all on. So depending on how you work, obviously you've got high speed air fuel ratio and your lambda. And everything else that's in there. Let that fuel push around. It probably won't start straight away. Still seems to be a slight miss. We'll let her warm up. Like I say, it might still be the plugs, but she's a lot smoother. Some enrichments on, but it won't be warm yet. I'll just walk around and show you that. So it is leaning out slowly. So still 7% enrichment for the warm up. Alright, hopefully I've got things dialed in now. I'm just gonna show you how it's strapped. So I've gone round the stock forward front arm at the top, misses the drive shaft and goes into these blocks, and then it comes down and straps there. I probably should have gone to the middle one, but it doesn't really matter. And I've got one limit strap on it, which is the blue one in the centre, and that goes up there. So this limits the forward, the blue one limits the forward motion of the car, and then the outer ones try and pull it down. But I'll just show you quickly how this traction bar works. Hopefully you'll be able to see. So if I watch the car, as I lift the traction bar up, it should pull down the car. I don't know if you can see that. So I've just got it in and off the dyno. It runs all right now, there's no misfire. The fueling's much better now, it's more accurate. I've got traditional fueling. You have to sort of set the main fueling. So you set a, let's say 12 or 10 millisecond main fueling. So I've had to reset that because I did put it at 10 initially, it was a guess. There's no way to really find out until you do it, and then you have to play with numbers a little bit and make sure you're seeing about 80% in the overall map. So I've played around with it. Hopefully I've got it somewhere where it should be. The fuel pressure regulator started fluttering, which normally means that there's not enough fuel flow going back through the reg. The orifice inside is too big, yeah. So we might have to change the orifice inside the fuel pressure regulator. So we'll see. It might have just got low on fuel because I did throw a bit more in it after that and had less issues, but it did start to almost like hammer or flutter the fuel line, the fuel return line. So we'll have a look at that and make sure that's not going to cause a problem. Anything else? No, I don't think so. It's too low. The suspension's really soft, obviously. And when I was loading it up, I was starting to take out the tyre. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, subscribe, hit that bell and get the notifications. You can also check us out on Facebook. The link's going to be in the description. Thanks for watching and we'll see you soon.